Infrastructure is something that we talked a lot about in the lead up to the election, particularly here in the ACT. But we know that infrastructure in Australia is well and truly lagging behind. But there is potential for Australia's record infrastructure pipeline to address some of the country's most pressing challenges. But it is dependent on a number of things. Mohammed Abdulahi is Director of Partners in Performance and joins us on the line now. Mohammed, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Stephen.
Infrastructure is one of those things that we never seem to get right in Australia. What are the challenges we face? And firstly, when we say record infrastructure pipeline, what do we mean by that?
Well, in Australia, there is more than $120 billion invested or will be invested over the next 10 years on infrastructure projects. And these are projects that are important for Australia, that will drive a lot of the housing affordability requirements, a lot of the livability requirements within our major cities in Australia. And those 120 billion is quite an extensive and quite a large amount to spend over a short period of time.
So both governments at a federal and state and territory level have pledged that amount of money. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. What are the things standing in the way of us achieving that infrastructure?
Well, there's a lot of committed work at the moment that is in place, but also there are a lot of private capital projects that are happening. So therefore, the industry, the construction or the capital industry, is a very busy industry as we speak. And therefore, you would have heard about the challenges around labour shortage. You would have heard about the supply chain challenges and so on. A lot of those issues are standing in the way of delivering these projects. Therefore, if you look at those projects are being delivered more expensively, but also delayed in many cases.
The problem, the labour shortages are things that, there are things that our governments can do to address that, probably not adequately enough, but at least they can make moves on that. But when it comes to international supply chains, and particularly the cost of material, there's not a lot. Much of that is out of Australia's control. What can we do to overcome that?
Sure. So in my mind, there are four things that we can drive. And given we have large number of infrastructure projects, first thing is collaboration. Collaboration, and when I talk about collaboration, I'm talking about collaboration between state governments, owners, delivery agencies, and contractors. The second thing is innovation. When we talk about innovation, if you think about a lot of industries are industrialized. Construction is one of those industries that, if you look at off-site prefabrication, modularization, it is not quite there with a lot of the other industries.
Now, when you say that, can I just interrupt you for a moment? When you say that, is that specifically in Australia, or is that a global issue?
I think it's a global issue, and it's predominantly also further. There are a number of countries that are making progress in this space.
Yep.
And I cite the UK as an example, where they are certainly making big progress. So there's an opportunity for Australia to also make progress in this space, given the amount of spend that is about to happen.
Yep. Okay. Go on. You were sorry. Before I interrupted you,
The other two areas, really quickly, is changing how we think about project management and really drive better understanding of the key issues early. And then last point is that skill development. Now that we have a large program of work, how do we think strategically about the skills development within Australia to really, overcome this issue that we've always heard about around skills shortage and so on.
And is that?
But if I were to focus on one element, is that collaboration, because collaboration enables everything else I've mentioned.
Well, absolutely. When it comes to the skills shortage, though, are we talking about importing the skills? Because given that we have such a low unemployment rate at the moment, I imagine that's a challenge to I guess, building that skills base to an extent.
Correct. I mean, with the very low unemployment at the moment, you will have to probably import some, but also I think longer term you have to make construction a more attractive career for a lot of particularly young Australians.
Yeah, no two ways about that. It certainly is something we need to address, and I really appreciate you joining us this morning, Mohammed.
No worries. Have a good morning.
You too. All the best. Mohammed Abdulahi, he's the Director of Partners in Performance. He makes some good points there, doesn't he? But he's right about that collaboration. If you get that collaboration right, all the other things will flow from it. We've certainly got some challenges, but I guess the good news to come out of that is that $120 billion pipeline of infrastructure moving forward over the medium term.